Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the weekly market overview. Sorry I skipped last week, but let's get right into it because there's a lot to talk about. A lot of coins are at very crucial inflection points right now. A lot of do or die levels that are getting tested at the moment. So let's take a look at the current state of the market. We'll begin with some technicals, BTC first. As I mentioned in previous episodes, 25k was a very important level and it held as support. And then we pumped pretty hard, pretty fast, broke through 30k, so we obviously have a bullish bias. Ever since then, we've been stalling though, and we've been floating around this, again, very key, important higher time frame and lower time frame level. Currently, it's holding as support, so that's pretty good. As long as 30k holds, I think you can look at the higher 30ks or low 40ks. But yeah, 30k is an absolute must hold. ETH 2k has been a very significant resistance level for a while, and it looks like we're trying to test it again, but it's not really working, at least not at the moment. We keep ranging in between this range of 1800 and 2000 with a deviation over here. Yeah, there's not much to say about ETH right now. It's just hovering somewhere in the middle at the moment. 2k, very difficult to break resistance level, it seems. BTC does look stronger in my opinion. Other coins that are at interesting levels, Solana. Solana had a nice pump recently. It's currently at significant resistance though, just like ETH. So if you can see here on the higher time frame, $20 has been tested multiple times as support. Then it fell through. We had a nice bounce recently, a short squeeze, and now we're testing that level again, but as resistance. This is a good level to take profit if you caught along. If it breaks through, then you can start looking at longs again. At the moment, risk reward wise, not a great level to long in my opinion. You could possibly even think about shorting, but I don't have a strong opinion on it at the moment. Litecoin is very interesting. It's been performing pretty well recently, and it broke through this higher time frame key level of $100, and it's now testing $100 as support. Again, a do or die level. If this breaks and falls below again, falls below $100, then I think it retraces all the way back down to the bottom range, to the bottom of this range. Because that probably meant that this was a deviation. But we're seeing some demand, seemingly, at the moment, around $100. Litecoin also has an interesting narrative at the moment, because the halving is coming up. Only 28 days left, that's the estimation. These are usually pretty accurate, so about 28 days for the Litecoin halving. That's obviously currently the narrative for Litecoin, that's why it's been performing pretty well recently. So if it holds $100 with the Litecoin halving narrative, that's pretty good. You can remain bullish, and then it probably keeps rallying for a while. But again, a do or die level, a must hold. BCH also had an interesting, insane pump, insane rally recently, seemingly out of nowhere. I'm not going to speculate on why this happened. It's probably a combination of factors anyway. And it's currently also at a very important level, 250. Higher time frame, also round psychological level. 250, this is also a must hold. If this holds, you can remain bullish. This kind of looks cooked though, in my opinion. I think that pretty much everything has been squeezed out of this rally. If 250 breaks, then it probably fully retraces, with some bounces here and there, of course, at probably round numbers. So 250 probably gives a bounce, 150 probably gives a bounce. But if 250 breaks, I think it fully retraces. I'm not too bullish on this one anymore. If 250 holds though, you could remain bullish, but I think something like Litecoin, for example, is much more interesting at the moment. Okay, let's look at some derivatives data. So what I don't like to see, first of all, let me make it clear. My higher time frame bias is still bullish, especially on Bitcoin, right? A lot of coins are testing resistance. ETH 2k, SOL $20. But BTC is actually hovering above support 30k, which is a very, very significant level. So higher time frame, I'm actually still bullishly biased. We also have this very interesting ETF narrative, which I'll talk more about in a second. So as long as that's still in play, I think we can remain bullish higher time frame. Lower time frame though, today we saw a little bit of a dip, and this was mostly spot selling, which is why funding rates haven't gone down. So funding rates are still positive, and open interest is still pretty high. So there's a lot of leverage, and funding is positive. We can also see on the liquidations tape that there are a lot of longs getting liquidated. Those are the gray bars. So there are a lot of directional longs in the system that are getting liquidated. So this doesn't look fantastic at the moment. Doesn't look super bearish either. But yeah, doesn't look the greatest in my opinion. Similar story for ETH. Funding rates have come down a little bit more though on ETH. On some markets, they're even trying to get negative. Bybit, for example, is starting to get negative. So ETH looks a little better derivatives-wise. Not amazing though. There has been some spot selling, and we're now, especially Bitcoin, is now testing 30k again. We're gonna have to see some spot demand kick in here, or it starts to look really ugly. Let's take a look at the order books. I'm only going to talk about Bitcoin. There's not much to talk about anyway. There's not much to observe here. It's pretty neutral. There's no strong bias. There's honestly not much going on anyway. The books are fairly empty at the moment, so it's mostly the active flow that is currently dominating the market. So passive flow is order books, right? That's limit orders. Active flow is just straight up market selling or buying. So the active flow is greatly dominating right now. There's nothing to observe in the passive flow. But let's talk a little bit more about this this ETF narrative. Especially BlackRock is really important. Literally the biggest hedge fund in the world, and they want to launch. It seems that they want to launch this Bitcoin spot ETF. I'm sure you know this unless you've been living under a rock. Recently, the SEC was being a little bit difficult. They had to change some things, but they did, and everyone refiled. So the ETF narrative is still in play. So this is very important. As long as we keep seeing positive news around the spot ETF narrative, we're Gucci. If suddenly there's bad news though, that could kill the entire narrative, and then I have no idea if we should remain bullish or not. We'll have to reevaluate if that happens. Something important is going to happen today, I think, which is this interview with the CEO of BlackRock. So today on Fox Business, the CEO will have a conversation or will do an interview, and they'll talk about the refiling of the BTC spot ETF. So this is something to pay attention to, in my opinion. Depending on the tone of Larry Fink, the CEO, we could remain hyper bullish, or we have to reevaluate everything. I think his tone will be very important. I'm very curious to see what he says and how he feels about the possible success of the filing of this BTC spot ETF. So yeah, pay attention to that, especially because we're at make or break levels. If Larry Fink's tone is pretty bullish, pretty positive, then I would just remain max bullish, to be honest. Other things that are interesting to observe, which are also related to this BTC spot ETF, are these stickers right here. So GBTC, the premium has been decreasing. So it was actually the discount has been decreasing. There was a massive discount. I'm sure that most of you know this, but it's been decreasing, which is positive. Also structurally, just from a technical standpoint, just look at these two charts. Look at Bitcoin, and then look at GBTC. Even today, it's interesting to observe BTC, spot BTC has gone down about 0.8%, GBTC only 0.3%. It's actually at a local high right now. So this chart looks pretty good actually. So I think that there are possibly insiders betting on positive ETF news. And I think that you see the same type of speculation from insiders on other assets or other markets like the BTC CME. But this looks pretty similar to spot BTC at the moment. So I don't know if there's much to observe here. But Coin also made an interesting move recently. It pumped 70% from the lows, the local lows. And also when the refiling news happened, Coin pumped really hard just before that news dropped, that everyone was going to refile. And then when the refiling news dropped, it pumped even more. So I believe that it's pretty obvious that there are insiders here that have knowledge about this stuff, and they're basically using Coin, so the Coinbase stock, as a proxy to bet on the possible success of a BTC spot ETF. And you see the exact same thing in MicroStrategy, which is Michael Saylor's company. MicroStrategy is also basically a proxy for just the success of Bitcoin in general, but also now in recent times, it's a proxy for speculating on this spot ETF narrative. This is especially interesting, the MicroStrategy one, because I believe that BlackRock also has MicroStrategy shares. So that's something that you should Google maybe. Pay attention to whether BlackRock keeps adding MicroStrategy to their portfolio or not. So yeah, that's just some stuff they should probably pay attention to as well, in my opinion. Just some tips. And yeah, I think that's about it. That's it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye bye.